Millionaire shocked to discover black woman is his long-lost sister in ancient secret. Ryan Banks, the billionaire mogul, with a cold gaze and sharp suits, stepped out of his luxury car, ready to conquer another day. The sun glinted off his sleek building, a titan of glass and steel that reflected his empire. Everyone knew his name. Yet inside, an empty void echoed. Wealth? Sure. Power? Absolutely. But love? He scoffed at the idea. Love was weakness. Until that fateful Tuesday, the day his world turned upside down. As he strolled down a dark alley, a flicker of movement caught his eye. There, huddled beneath a tattered blanket, was a woman. Her skin was a rich, deep brown that contrasted sharply with the gray surroundings. Light glinting off her unkempt hair. He would have walked past, but something about her drew him in. A sense of familiarity, perhaps. Curiosity pricked at him, urging him to step closer. "Hey, you," he called, pouring classic confidence into his voice. "You all right?" Claire lifted her head slightly, revealing eyes filled with wisdom and pain. "You don't get to say that. Not in your world." Her voice crackled, and yet it carried the weight of 1,000 stories. Ryan frowned, taken aback by her spirit. "Why are you here?" "Where else would I be?" she shot back, her voice rising, echoing in the desolate alley. "This is where life put me." A thread of unease laced through him. Something about her haunted his thoughts. He studied her, fingers gripping his phone as if it were a lifeline. Suddenly, she dropped a shocking revelation. "Is your last name Banks? Your father, he's my father too." Silence filled the air like the calm before a storm. Ryan's heart raced. Disbelief churned in his stomach. "That's impossible," he snapped. Yet her words tugged at his memory, whispered shadows from childhood. The family secrets, the stories he overheard, dark whispers about a sister lost to the world. Claire stared him down, determination shining in her eyes. "I'm real. I exist. Your family tried to bury me." Frustration boiled within him. Memories of his father's warnings to never talk about the past, to keep the family image pristine, seized his throat like a vice. But those memories couldn't compete with the undeniable truth before him. His chest tightened as he realized the implication. He had been living a lie. Ryan felt torn between the life of privilege he'd built, glistening parties, unfathomable wealth, and this woman, this sister, who represented a life he never knew existed. She, who had suffered through the streets while he lived in a palace. I can't just walk away," he whispered, more to himself than to her. A sudden crash echoed in the alley, startling them both. Shadows loomed, reminding him of the darker corners of his family's legacy. That familiar icy grip returned when he thought of their father, protective of the fortune, but ruthless toward the truth. "What's at stake, Claire?" he murmured, torn between daring to acknowledge their connection and the fear of what their father would do to keep his secrets buried. Outside, the world continued its relentless pace, but inside Ryan, a storm brewed, a reckoning on the horizon. "Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube— Oh, and tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching this? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact." Ryan felt the weight of Claire's words hang in the air, a heavy truth that threatened to swallow him whole. Just as he opened his mouth to respond, a chilling shout broke the tension, echoing through the alley. "Hey, where are you going?" A figure emerged from the shadows, tall and imposing. It was James, Ryan's childhood friend, a man oddly loyal to the Banks family. He had a reputation for protecting Ryan's back, but right now, his presence sent a ripple of dread through him. "What are you doing here?" Ryan hissed, panic pooling in his stomach. "I could ask you the same." James crossed his arms, eyes darting between Ryan and Claire. "Who is she?" Claire squared her shoulders, fierce determination shining through her weary expression. "I'm someone who deserves to know the truth." "Shut your mouth," Ryan snapped, the anger rising like bile. "This is my fight. You don't understand, James. She's—" Suddenly, James pulled out his phone and pointed it at Claire. "You better stay away from him. I won't let you mess this up." "Mess what up?" Claire shot back, her confidence unyielding. "Your master's precious image?" Ryan's heart pounded as realization hit him. James wasn't just here by coincidence. Something deeper was at play. He had always trusted James, but now that trust wavered, cracking like his facade of control. "Step aside, James," Ryan demanded, but the urgency in his voice faltered when Claire flinched at James's approach. Then came the twist. As if summoned by the tension, a sleek black car rolled up to the alley's entrance. It was adorned with a familiar logo, the family crest of the Banks. Ryan's heart sank. He knew that emblem well. His father's security team had arrived. "No! What are you doing here?" he muttered, panic clawing at his throat. Car doors flung open, and two figures stepped out. It was Ryan's father, the cold, unyielding patriarch of the Banks dynasty, flanked by two security guards. "Ryan," he barked, the authority in his voice echoing off the alley walls like a gunshot. "Get over here." "Leave her alone," Ryan shouted, fear wrestling within him. But his father's gaze flickered to Claire, eyes narrowing with a mix of recognition and disdain. "Who is this woman?" he asked coldly, as if she were a pest he intended to squash. "She's family!" Ryan practically screamed, desperation coursing through him. "And you've kept her hidden." In an instant, everything shattered. The guards took a step toward Claire, ready to seize her. But Ryan's father held up a hand, a twisted smile creeping across his face. "That's rich, son. You really think she's family?" The world around them seemed to blur. Ryan's chest tightened. "What do you mean?" His father's voice dropped low, a sinister whisper. "You have a sister, Ryan. But it's not her." The ground felt as if it was shifting beneath Ryan's feet, panic swirling in his mind. Claire's face twisted in shock and betrayal, confusion marring her features. "What are you saying?" she trembled, looking to Ryan for answers. But all he could return was a look of horror. James's expression turned to one of suppressed glee, an unsettling smirk forming at the corners of his mouth. "Didn't see that coming, did you?" Ryan's breath hitched. What had he walked into? What secrets lay buried beneath the surface of his family's so-called legacy? The alley felt claustrophobic, shadows closing in as the truth suffocated him. Before he could form another question, his father barked an order to the guards. "Get rid of her. She's nothing." The finality of those words echoed deep within Ryan, a hollowness expanding inside him. How could he let this happen? How could he stand by while the truth slipped through his fingers like sand? As Claire was pulled back, wide-eyed and reeling, Ryan's heart raced. He had to act, but his body felt paralyzed, torn between family loyalty and the undeniable spark of love for the sister he'd never known. The stakes had never felt higher, and a storm of consequences loomed on the horizon. What came next would change everything. Ryan felt the weight of Claire's words hang heavy in the air, a truth so powerful it made his heart race. But before he could respond, a chilling shout sliced through the tension. "Hey, where are you going?" James stepped forward, his tall frame blocking the exit. "Who is she?" he demanded, eyes darting between Ryan and Claire. His presence loomed over them like a dark cloud. Claire's brow furrowed, an edge of fear creeping into her defiance. "I'm someone who deserves to know the truth." "I said step away," Ryan urged, his voice thick with panic. Just then, the sound of screeching tires echoed, a black car pulling up. Ryan's stomach dropped, his father's security team. The emblem on the vehicle was unmistakable. Then the storm broke. Car doors swung open, and out stepped his father, flanked by 2 guards, their faces set like stone. "Ryan," he barked, as if they were still in that old playground, brandishing authority, demanding obedience. "Get away from her," Ryan shouted, his heart pounding, desperation rising. But his father's eyes locked onto Claire, narrowed with cold disdain. "Who is this woman?" he asked, his voice dripping with contempt. "She's family," Ryan yelled, the words bursting from him as he reached for the truth that felt so close, yet so far. "You've kept her hidden." "Family?" His father let out a scoffing laugh, the sound chilling Ryan's blood. "You think she's family? You really believe that?" Claire's face contorted with confusion and hurt. "Ryan, what's happening?" Before he could voice his thoughts, his father leaned closer, a wolf in a tailored suit. "You have a sister, but it's not her." The ground shifted under Ryan. His breath hitched, panic rushing through him. "What are you saying?" James smirked, a glee dancing in his eyes. "Didn't see that coming, did you?" Frantic questions bubbled in Ryan's mind as he tried to grasp what his father had just revealed. Claire's expression shifted from shock to heartbreak, each second stretching painfully. All Ryan could do was stare at his father, betrayed. "Get rid of her. She's nothing," his father ordered, the sound of those words slicing through Ryan's resolve. The guards took a step forward, but Ryan's instinct kicked in. "No!" he screamed. "You can't do this!" His heart raced, a tumultuous war within him. As they closed in on Claire, something ignited in Ryan. "Stop!" he shouted, but in that moment, an unexpected figure emerged. His mother, her face pale, eyes wide, stepping from the shadows. "Wait!" she cried, her voice breaking through the chaos. The alley fell silent. All eyes turned to her. "You don't understand." She glanced at Claire, then at Ryan. "She needs to know. You both need to know the truth." "What truth?" Ryan felt his chest tighten, a mix of anger and confusion tearing at him. His mother took a deep breath, trembling slightly. "Claire is your sister, but there's more. You have an older brother too. A brother we thought was dead." Shock rippled through Ryan like a jolt of electricity. "What? You're lying." "No, I'm not. He's alive, and he has a claim to everything," she continued, her eyes glistening. James stepped back, eyes wide. "This can't be real." The alley buzzed with disbelief, the weight of those words landing hard. Ryan's world tipped on its axis. "Where is he?" he demanded, voice hoarse. His mother looked frantic, glancing between Ryan and Claire. "I only found out recently. We were trying to protect you, to keep the family from falling apart." Claire shook her head, disbelief etched on her face. "So I'm not the only secret? I'm just part of the lie?" "Yes." His mother's voice wavered on the brink of tears. "But you have to trust me. He's coming, and when he does—" Before she could finish, a loud crash interrupted, the air filling with chaos. Shadowy figures rushed from the dark end of the alley, and in that instant, Ryan realized his family secrets were about to spill into the open. With his heart racing in his chest, he turned to Claire. "We need to leave, now." But as they turned, one figure emerged from the chaos, a tall man with a familiar face. Ryan's breath caught, recognition flooding him. Deep-set eyes, the same fierce jawline. "Ryan," the stranger said, voice low and steady, "it's time you knew everything." The night had just begun, and what came next would shatter every belief he held. "Ryan," the stranger said, voice low and steady, "it's time you knew everything." The moment hung in the air, like smoke. Ryan's heart pounded as he stared. The man bore a striking resemblance to him, familiar yet haunting. Confusion spun through his mind, weaving dark threads of dread. "Who are you?" Ryan's voice trembled. "Your brother," the man replied, his tone icy and flat, like a bleak winter morning. "I'm Leo, And I've been searching for you. The ground felt like it was crumbling beneath his feet. Ryan blinked. This can't be happening. He turned to Claire, who looked equally lost, eyes wide with shock. What do you mean, brother? Before Liam could answer, darkness erupted from the alley's entrance. A figure charged forward, a hulking shadow cloaked in black. In a flash, the scene erupted into chaos. Ryan's instincts kicked in. "Claire, move!" he shouted. But it was too late. The figure lunged, and before anyone could react, a loud bang filled the air. Bang! It echoed through the alley with a deafening roar. Ryan's heart stopped. They all jerked, eyes wide. Claire screamed, a raw sound that cut through the chaos. Panic seized Ryan as he moved toward her, but a hand stopped him. "Stay back!" James shouted, eyes darting around, fear written all over his face. "He's armed!" A gunshot. The metallic scent of fear and adrenaline flooded the air. The figures stumbled, clutching their side. For a split second, everything felt frozen. Then chaos flooded back as he dropped to the ground, a flash of crimson blossoming against black fabric. "Call an ambulance!" Ryan screamed as he rushed toward the fallen form. But then came the twist. The hand that drew the weapon was not the only one that had fallen. A grotesque realization hit him like a slap. The attacker was his father's security, lying lifeless, a gun still in hand. His heart raced. Had they tried to kill Liam just for being there? "Get back!" James yelled again, intent on pulling Ryan away. But Ryan couldn't move. His brother was right there. Blood pooled around the man on the pavement, and Ryan's breath caught in his throat as he turned to Liam. "What's happening?" "It's worse than you think. It's about the estate. The will isn't what you were told." Liam gasped, his voice strained but urgent, fighting through the pain. "Estate? What are you talking about?" Ryan couldn't comprehend the chaos. Suddenly, a voice rang out from behind. "You think you know everything? You have no idea who your father really is, not just a businessman." It was Claire. She stepped forward, trembling but fierce. "He made promises, dark ones. I've seen the files." "Files?" Ryan blinked again, confusion and anger swirling. "What do you mean?" "It all connects to your real family. There are more of us. This was never about you or me." Claire's voice faded into rising panic, glancing at the darkening sky. Ryan felt the words wash over him, heavy and unreal. Shadows loomed larger now, realities unfurling like a sinister tapestry. "How many secrets have you buried?" Ryan turned sharply toward his father, who now stood at the alley's mouth, flanked by guards, fury radiating off him. "What else are you hiding?" And in a moment that sent chills through them all, his father stepped forward, face twisted in a cruel smile. "You want to play this game? Then let's see how far it goes, because you have no idea what's coming." A chill washed over Ryan, his blood turning to ice. In that moment, he realized that nothing would ever be the same. Lies and blood would merge, and the web was growing tighter around them. He had ignited a firestorm that threatened everything he had. Claiming back the truth meant risking more than mere family legacy. It was going to shatter everything he thought. Ryan's heart raced as his father's chilling smile lingered in the alley. "You want to play this game? Then let's see how far it goes, because you have no idea what's coming." His words hung in the air, thick with menace. Claire stepped back, fear etched across her face. "What are you talking about?" "It's too late for you to turn back now," his father shouted, echoing through the narrow space, cold laughter bubbling up from somewhere deep within him. Then, before anyone could react, a shrill whistle sliced through the tension. A blast of air rushed past, followed by a deafening explosion just behind Ryan. Boom! The blast hit him like a tidal wave. Debris erupted around them, concrete shards raining down. Ryan's instincts kicked in. He dove toward Claire, pulling her to the ground. The world spun into chaos, a whirlwind of shouts and screams. "What the hell?" Ryan gasped, his ears ringing. A few feet away, shadows darted as people scrambled for cover, panic erupting like wildfire. "I've got to get you out of here," Claire cried, her voice sharp against the backdrop of confusion. Liam struggled to stand, blood seeping through his shirt, pain lacing his features. "No, we can't leave." He pointed toward their father, urgency flashing in his eyes. "He's the one behind this." Before Ryan could respond, a figure slipped out from the chaos, cloaked in darkness. It was James, but he was different now. His face was no longer the loyal friend, twisted into an expression of rage. "You don't understand," he yelled, hands held up in desperation. "All of this, it's all part of the plan." Ryan turned, confusion knotted in his stomach. "What plan?" But James's eyes darted to the door of the alley. A group of armed men were closing in, weapons drawn. "Your family isn't just a dynasty, it's a crime syndicate. They're coming for everything, and they won't stop until they have." His words were cut short by a second explosion, thunderous and raw. This time, part of the alley crumbled, sending a shower of dust and concrete flying. Ryan shielded Claire, heart pounding as fragments of his world cascaded down around them. In the chaos, he noticed something odd, a glint of light beneath the rubble. Without thinking, he pushed aside the debris, revealing a small velvet box, stained with dust and grime. He opened it. Inside lay a ring, ornate and heavy with jewels. "What is it?" Claire asked, breathless, anxiety etched on her features. Ryan barely noticed her. All he felt was a chilling. This belonged to my mother." Suddenly, a different kind of shock coursed through him. "Wait, is this why she hesitated? Why she kept secrets?" Before he could ponder further, another loud crash echoed around them. More figures stormed into the alley, and the lead man yelled, "Get that ring! Get them both!" His father's voice cut through the chaos. "Ryan, don't you see? This is about power, legacy. You need to choose a side." The weight of the moment fell heavy on Ryan. As chaos erupted around him, Claire grabbed his hand. "We can't trust any of them. We need to uncover the truth." But then, as their eyes locked, something shifted in Ryan's mind. The doubt, the fear, it all snapped into focus. "But what if my mother?" Suddenly, a loud bang echoed again, a gunshot, sharp and definitive. Ryan turned just in time to see James fall to the ground, clutching his side, eyes wide in shock. "James!" Ryan shouted, rushing over. But as Ryan knelt next to him, fear coursed through him. James looked up, a soft smile breaking through his pain. "You have to stop this. It's not what you think." With those final words, James closed his eyes, still. Everything quieted, the chaos fading into a low hum as Ryan stared at his friend. An icy realization settled in. The web of deception was thicker than he imagined. And as he looked back at Claire, everything changed. "Who can we trust?" Ryan breathed, breathless in despair. A shadow moved behind them, and a chilling voice cut through the air. "You can trust me." Ryan turned sharply, and his blood ran cold. The voice belonged to his mother. But she wasn't alone. She was flanked by those men with guns. And as she stepped forward, eyes wild, everything he'd ever known began to unravel. "Ryan, it was all a lie," she shouted. And in that moment, he realized the truth was more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. What was it she had hidden from him? What darkness was entwined in his family's legacy? The alley spun back to life, urgency flooding his senses. He had to figure this out before it all slipped away. Ryan stood frozen, heart racing, as his mother advanced, dark shadows creeping in behind her. It was all a lie. She was full of urgency, eyes wide, filled with a storm of emotions. Behind him, Claire trembled, gripping his arm so tightly he could feel her pulse. "Ryan," she whispered, fear vibrating in her voice. "What does she mean?" Before Ryan could answer, the alley erupted in chaos again. A loud crash broke through the air as more figures emerged, weapons drawn like hungry wolves. "Get them!" one of the men yelled. Panic seized Ryan, and he instinctively shielded Claire with his body. "No, stop!" he shouted, but his father was quick to point a gun, eyes narrowed. "Enough!" The men froze, fear twisting faces. Ryan felt his mother's presence next to him, breathing heavily, lingering like a storm cloud. "You don't understand what's at stake," she pleaded. But he couldn't process it all. Secrets spiraling, lies crumbling like old brick walls. His world was unraveling, and he felt dizzy. Yet then, a sudden clarity pierced through the chaos. Liam staggered back, placing a hand on the wall for support, his face pale. "Listen to her," he rasped, voice shaky but filled with urgency. "You need to know the real reason." "Enough of this," Ryan's father barked, but something snapped inside Ryan. He could feel the weight of betrayal pressing down on him. "Why didn't you ever tell me about my brother?" Ryan shouted, drowning in anger. His voice rose, thick with desperate hope. "What else aren't you telling me?" Silence fell like a thick blanket, and in that moment, everything seemed to tilt. His mother's expression shifted, fear melting into something deeper, more urgent. "You don't know the truth, Ryan. You have to understand before it's too late." "Understand what?" His heart raced faster, each beat echoing in his ears. Suddenly, the air snapped and crackled, an almost electric feeling. Time slowed, the sounds of chaos fading into the background. Ryan felt a presence behind him, a tightening at the shoulder, a chilling whisper brushing against his ear. "Your brother is alive because of you." Ryan's breath caught. "What?" The voice was haunting, familiar yet distant. He turned slowly, and there, in the shadows, stood a woman, her face illuminated by the dim light, features strikingly similar to his own. "I'm your twin," she said calmly, yet the weight of her words felt like a sledgehammer. Liam's gaze shifted, confusion flashing across his face. "No, that's not possible," he denied, shaking his head. Ryan blinked rapidly, panic clawing at him. "This can't be real. You're lying." "No," she insisted, stepping forward, vulnerability breaking through her fierce demeanor. "I'm not a lie. You were hidden away, kept from the truth. Just like Claire. Just like Liam." His mind reeled. "What does that mean? I don't understand." She hesitated, eyes darting back to his father. "It means your father, he needed to protect his empire. But at what cost? He hid us. All of us. The brother you thought was lost, he's not just in the shadows." Ryan turned sharply to his father. "You did this? You knew?" But before the storm could break, the darkness loomed deeper. Suddenly, Claire screamed as the ground began to shake violently. "What's happening?" she shrieked, eyes wide. Then a blinding light erupted from behind them, a flash so bright it felt like the sun had exploded. Ryan shielded his eyes, a primal instinct kicking in. When the light vanished, the alley was transformed. They stood in a vast, mysterious space, echoes of voices filling the air, voices that felt familiar, yet terrifying. Shadows shifted, and the atmosphere buzzed with tension. Ryan's heart hammered. "Where are we?" And in that moment, tangled emotions swirled. Realizations crashed over him, and he knew everything had changed. The truth wasn't just family secrets. It was a web of horrors lying just beneath the surface, waiting to be unraveled. "How will we survive this?" Ryan gasped, breathless, as the shadows began to weave around them, darkness pressing close. They had awakened something monumental, a reckoning that threatened to swallow them whole, and Ryan wondered if the truth would save them or destroy them. Ryan stood at the edge of a collapsed reality, confusion swirling like a tempest around him. The shadows leaned closer, whispering secrets he was not ready to hear. "Your twin?" he spat, the words heavy on his tongue, almost too much to bear. Claire stepped back, face drained of color. "This is insane," she murmured, shaking her head as if hoping the world would spin back to the way it was. Liam looked between them, eyes wide. "You can't just drop this bombshell and expect us to absorb it." And then it happened. The ground shook again, a low rumble that sent vibrations up Ryan's spine. They all stumbled, fear gripping him. Before he could process what was happening, a crack opened up below them. The asphalt split, wide enough to swallow the alley whole. "Run!" Claire screamed, grasping Ryan's hand as everything began to tremble around them. The shadows were morphing, swirling into figures that darted in and out of the bright light. "No, wait!" Ryan fought against the pull of panic, looking back at the twin who had just emerged from nothing. "You have to tell us more. Who are you? Why now?" But her eyes were focused on something rising from the darkness. "The truth you seek is bound by a curse," she shouted, her voice strained above the chaos. Suddenly, a figure leapt from the shadows, colliding with Ryan. "Get down!" Liam shouted, tackling him just as a blast of dark energy erupted. The air crackled. Ryan felt it sting his skin, pinpricks of agony as lights flickered and the chaos crescendoed around them. Everything was collapsing. A deafening roar filled the space. The ground shook once more, sending them sprawling. As Ryan struggled to rise, he caught sight of a reflection. In the silver lining of a shard of glass, he saw something horrific. His father, face twisted in fury, raising a twisted staff. Light radiated from it, pure and black at the same time, like a void come to life. "Father, no!" Ryan shouted, confusion spiraling in his gut. But then came a scream, a blood-curdling sound. Claire's silhouette was engulfed in shadows. "Help!" she shrieked, hands reaching across the chasm. Ryan lunged, but it was too late. The shadows wrapped around her, pulling her into the darkness. "Claire!" he roared, reaching for her, but grasping at air. The world felt as if it was collapsing, tearing apart at the seams. "No!" The cry came from Claire, a sliver of hope amid the chaos. She was still there, reaching for them. Fingers stretched wide, a tether across the abyss. "Stop this!" Ryan's voice cracked like a whip. "You don't have to do this." The shadows relented momentarily, forming a swirling circle, just enough for Claire to grasp onto the edges. Panic surged through Ryan. "Hold on!" he gasped. But just then, darkness poured from the staff, coiling and twisting, snatching the air from his lungs. The world spiraled out of control. "Everything! It's all a lie, Ryan!" Claire shouted, pain laced in her words. "The siblings you didn't know! You're not just twins. You're part of a prophecy." And before Ryan could process this, Liam stumbled forward, dropping to his knees as the darkness seeped into his skin. "Ryan, wake up!" he choked, desperation lacing his voice. Shocking emotions flooded Ryan. Memories, flashes of moments long forgotten, collided. A childhood, a shared laughter, twin souls bound by fate. But that wasn't all. His father seethed, eyes wide, voice booming in the whirlwind. "You, that ring, was meant to seal your destiny. You're meant to lead." "What?" Ryan's breath caught in his throat. "Lead what?" The darkness fluctuated, snatching at Ryan's heartbeat. An unsettling realization clawed at him. Is this why all this was hidden? Why we're just pawns in this sick game? But then came the final shock. A surge burst unexpectedly from Claire, illuminating the darkness. "Ryan!" she yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We're stronger together. Find the light." And just like that, the dark world around them shifted again. Shadows recoiled, the whispers fading as the ground gave way beneath their feet. As everything shattered, Ryan felt the tug of destiny, the weight of hidden truths pressing down on him. He didn't know what awaited him. He didn't know how they could possibly escape this nightmare. But one thing pierced his heart more than all the chaos combined: a desperate need to save her and reveal the reality that threatened to crush them all. As the abyss swallowed them whole, one thought lingered like a beacon. Were they all just puppets, dancing on the strings of a fate neither of them understood? Would they rise from this darkness, or be lost forever? Ryan stood at the edge of a collapsed reality, confusion swirling like a tempest around him. The shadows leaned closer, whispering secrets he was not ready to hear. "Your twin," he spat, the words heavy on his tongue, almost too much to bear. Claire stepped back, face drained of color. "This is insane," she murmured, shaking her head, as if hoping the world would spin back to the way it was. Liam looked between them, eyes wide. "You can't just drop this bombshell and expect us to absorb it." Just then, it happened. The ground shook violently again, a low rumble that sent vibrations up Ryan's spine. They all stumbled, fear gripping him. Before he could process what was happening, a crack opened up below them. The asphalt split, wide enough to swallow the alley whole. "Run!" Claire screamed, grasping Ryan's hand as everything trembled around them. The shadows were morphing, swirling into figures that darted in and out of the bright light. "No! Wait!" Ryan fought against the pull of panic, looking back at the twin who had just emerged from nothing. "You have to tell us more! Who are you? Why now?" But her eyes were focused on something rising from the darkness. "The truth you seek is bound by a curse," she shouted, her voice strained above the chaos. Suddenly, a figure leapt from the shadows, colliding with Ryan. "Get down!" Liam shouted, tackling him just as a blast of dark energy erupted. The air crackled. Ryan felt it sting his skin. Pinpricks of agony as lights flickered and the chaos crescendoed around them. Everything was collapsing. A deafening roar filled the space. The ground shook once more, sending them sprawling. As Ryan struggled to rise, he caught sight of a reflection. In the silver lining of a shard of glass, he saw something horrific. His father, face twisted in fury, raising a crooked staff. Light radiated from it, pure yet dark, like a void come to life. "Father, no!" Ryan shouted, confusion spiraling in his gut. But then came a scream, a blood-curdling sound. Claire's silhouette was engulfed in shadows. "Help!" she shrieked, hands reaching across the chasm. Ryan lunged, but it was too late. The shadows wrapped around her, pulling her into the darkness. "Claire!" he roared, reaching for her, but grasping at air. The world felt as if it was collapsing, tearing apart at the seams. "No!" The cry came from Claire, a sliver of hope amid the chaos. She was still there, reaching for them, fingers stretched wide, a tether across the abyss. "Stop this!" Ryan's voice cracked like a whip. "You don't have to do this!" The shadows relented momentarily, forming a swirling circle, just enough for Claire to grasp onto the edges. Panic surged through Ryan. "Hold on!" he gasped. But just then, darkness poured from the staff, coiling and twisting, snatching the air from his lungs. The world spiraled out of control. "Everything. It's all a lie, Ryan," Claire shouted, pain laced in her words. "The siblings you didn't know. You're not just twins. You're part of a prophecy." Before Ryan could process this, Liam staggered forward, dropping to his knees as the darkness seeped into his skin. "Ryan, wake up!" he choked, desperation lacing his voice. But then came the final shock. A surge burst unexpectedly from Claire, illuminating the darkness. "Ryan," she yelled, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We're stronger together. Find the light." And just like that, the dark world around them shifted again. Shadows recoiled, the whispers fading as the ground gave way beneath their feet. As everything shattered, Ryan felt the tug of destiny, the weight of hidden truths pressing down on him. He didn't know what awaited him. He didn't know how they could possibly escape this nightmare. But one thing pierced his heart more than all the chaos combined: a desperate need to save her. But when the dust settled, everything changed. The shadows transformed into a bright light, blinding him for a moment. When his eyes cleared, he saw the figure of a woman standing there. A different woman, a striking resemblance to Claire, but older, more regal. "Welcome back, my children," she said, voice rich with authority. "I am your mother, not the woman you thought you knew." Ryan's blood ran cold. "What do you mean?" he gasped, confusion clouding his thoughts. "I sacrificed everything to keep you safe from this world, from the truth of our lineage," she continued, eyes piercing through the chaos. "You're not just part of a prophecy. You are the prophecy." It resonated inside him, the weight of her words settling like a heavy blanket. You're my real mother?" he stammered, a lump in his throat. "Yes," she said firmly, "and the powers that bind this family run deep. You have to choose, Ryan. Either embrace your destiny or watch everything we built crumble." And in an instant, Ryan felt everything shift. The love he thought he knew, the comfort of family, it all felt like a fragile lie now. "You've lied to me!" he shouted, betrayal igniting his voice. But her face softened. "I did it to protect you, to protect all of us." The world spun again. Claire's figure faded, anguish washing over Ryan. What had their bond truly been? Was it real, or just another layer of deception? In that moment, everything unraveled. Ryan found himself standing at a crossroads, each path dark, unclear, and perilous. What did it mean to be part of a prophecy? And more importantly, whose destiny awaited him as he faced the shattering truths ahead? Ryan stood frozen, heart racing. "You're my real mother?" The revelation hung heavy in the air between them. "Yes," she said, voice layered with authority. "And the powers that bind this family run deep. You have to choose, Ryan. Either embrace your destiny or watch everything we built crumble." His stomach churned. It felt like a punch, one he hadn't seen coming. "You've lied to me." His voice cracked like thunder. "You kept us hidden." "Not just for you, but for everyone," she insisted, urgency flooding her expression. "The legacy." But before she could finish, an earth-shattering boom shook the alley again. Brick and dust rained down as the ground opened up beneath them, swallowing everything whole. "Mother, run!" he shouted, but she didn't budge. Claire screamed, "Ryan, help!" The shadows thickened around them, swirling faster, consuming the light. Panic surged through Ryan. "Claire!" he yelled, as her figure started fading into the darkness. "No!" He lunged toward her, desperation fueling him. The shadows twisted, pulling her back. Ryan felt something break inside him, a raw ache that tightened his chest. In a moment of chaos, another deafening noise cut through. "Look out!" Liam yelled, shoving Ryan aside, just as an explosive force erupted, blasting Ryan backward. He collided against the pavement, gasping for air. The alley transformed into a cosmic swirl of colors and sounds. He blinked through the haze, trying to find Claire, but the darkness enveloped her like a suffocating shroud. "Where are you?" he shouted, voice rasping. "Ryan!" Claire's voice echoed, so distant yet clear. She was slipping away. Desperation clawed at his heart, but something flickered in the corner of his vision. A light, sparkling, shimmering, drawing him in like a moth to a flame. "No, don't!" his mother cried. But something inside Ryan ignited. He chased the light, ignoring the cave of shadows lunging at him. Suddenly, he stumbled. The ground shifted. He caught himself, heart pounding. The light pulsed, vibrating with energy. "What is this?" he murmured, conflicted. "Ryan, wait!" Liam shouted. But it was too late. He reached for the glowing light, fingers brushing against it. A surge of energy coursed through him, jolting him upright. Images cascaded in a whirlpool, flashes of memories that weren't his own. A life lived in darkness, betrayal at every corner. He saw fires, destruction, and one face emerging, his father. But it was younger, filled with ambition. Then the shock hit him like a brick. "No, it can't be." Ryan stumbled back. "That's not possible." Reality folded in on itself. The truth felt like a knife twisting in his gut. It's you," he gasped. The light exploded, casting shadows aside. There stood his father, transformed, more menacing than ever. "You finally see, son. You were meant to lead all along." Ryan's breath caught, confusion and anger bubbling in his chest. "What do you mean by lead?" "Your lineage is not a curse. It's a weapon," his father hissed, eyes glinting with dark promise. Suddenly, a cold realization washed over Ryan. Every action, every explosion, had been a puppet show orchestrated by this man, the chaos and secrets woven into their lives. "No, I won't be part of this," he shouted, heart racing as he turned to find Claire. "Where are you?" The shadows seemed to retreat momentarily, but Ryan's world was crumbling. He could feel holes in his very foundation. "I have to find her." But just then, Claire's voice wafted through the shadows, barely a whisper. "Ryan, you don't understand. I'm part of this too." "What?" His heart raced as his eyes searched for her, a painful lump in his throat. "Claire, no!" And in that moment she emerged. But it wasn't the Claire he knew. Her eyes glimmered with power, shadows swirling around her like a dark aura. "I'm not who you think." Ryan felt the ground shift again, the walls closing in. "What are you saying?" But before she could answer, another burst of light erupted, blinding him. He shielded his eyes, heart pounding against his ribcage. When the light faded, Claire stood tall, transformed. It was as if she had awakened into a different being altogether. "We're all connected, Ryan. You, me, the legacy. It's time to embrace it." His heart sank. What does that mean? And as everything shifted around him, shadows loomed, flickers of light and dark intertwining. He could hear whispers growing, voices that echoed through time. "Ryan, it's now or never," Claire urged, a fierce glint in her transformed gaze. With breaths quick and thoughts racing, Ryan felt the pull of his destiny, an undeniable force urging him to make a choice. And as chaos danced around them, one question lingered in the dark. Would he dare confront the legacy waiting just beyond the edge of shadows? Ryan's heart raced as the world around him swirled in chaos. The shadows danced like wild flames, threatening to consume everything. But he stood firm. "No, I won't let you take Claire." The light around Claire shimmered, her eyes fierce, filled with a strange power. "Together, we can break this curse," she shouted, hands outstretched, pulling energy from the light. With a deep breath, Ryan felt it too, a rush of strength flowing between them. "Yes, together!" he yelled. The energies intertwined, swirling like a storm, creating a barrier against the darkness. His mother watched in awe, regret etched on her face. "You must believe in who you are. Embrace the legacy." "I don't want your legacy," Ryan shot back, eyes narrowing. "I want my sister." The shadows roared, closing in, but in that moment, a small crack appeared in the darkness, a glimmer of hope. "Go, Claire," Ryan urged. "We can't let it take you." Claire nodded, determination radiating from her. "Take my hand. We can break the hold." As they joined their hands, a bright explosion of light erupted, pushing back the shadows. The tears of the past washed away the pain. Memories flooded their minds, fueling their bond even more. Each shared laugh, every moment lost in the darkness, everything ignited a power neither of them knew they had. Then, suddenly, a scream cut through the chaos. It was Liam, struggling with the shadows wrapping around him like chains. "Ryan, help!" he gasped, fear flashing in his eyes. "Liam!" Ryan cried. He broke away from Claire and rushed forward. "Hold on!" The weight of the shadows pulled Liam down, but Ryan wouldn't let go. He grabbed Liam's arm, feeling the terror pulse through him. "I won't leave you!" Claire joined him, her force amplifying theirs. "Together!" she shouted, forcing light through the shadows, piercing their grip. With one final push, they pulled Liam free. He gasped for air, face pale, eyes wide with shock. "I thought I was lost," he breathed, collapsing onto the ground. Ryan knelt beside him, relief flooding through him. "You're safe now." But the shadows hissed and swirled, their anger growing. Ryan turned, facing the darkness. "Enough!" he shouted, standing tall. "We will not let you take us." With Claire and Liam by his side, they formed a wall of light, pushing against the chaos. The shadows recoiled, screeching in defiance. "This ends now," Ryan declared, heart pounding. As they unleashed their combined power, the darkness shattered like glass. Light exploded outward, filling the alley with brilliance, flooding every corner. The shadows evaporated, and silence fell. Ryan blinked, gasping, the world slowly coming back into focus. The alley looked different now, clean and bright. "We did it," Claire whispered, eyes glistening with tears of joy. Liam smiled weakly, relief washing over him. "Those shadows, they won't come back?" Ryan shook his head. "No, they're gone. We faced what haunted us, and we won." But as the light subsided, the weight of reality settled in. They had defeated the darkness, but at what cost? Ryan turned to his mother, who watched silently, emotion flickering across her face. "You have to tell me the truth about everything. What's next?" She nodded slowly, tears in her eyes. "You deserve the truth. I'll explain everything." Ryan felt a mix of anger and hope. "We have another chance, but it has to be the truth." As they walked away from the alley, trembling yet stronger than before, the bond of siblings forged anew, Ryan glanced back. The past was still there, lingering at the edges, but he felt ready to face it. "Together," he whispered to Claire and Liam. Always together. Their journey was far from over. There were still questions unanswered, mysteries waiting to be uncovered. But one thing was clear. They would face it all as a family. And just as they stepped into the dawn of a new day, the camera zoomed in, capturing their united front, strong against any future threat. "Hey, everyone, before you go, I need you to pay attention. You've just experienced an epic conclusion, and this is the moment to make your voice heard. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss out on the upcoming exclusive stories that are coming your way. Smash that like button now to boost the algorithm and help us grow this incredible community. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this ending. What did you think? How do you feel about Ryan, Claire, and Liam's journey? And don't wait 1 second more to share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to know this conclusion. Let's spread